Alright guys, today I'm talking about something I consider to be something resembling a tragedy, at least for the individual involved. Okay, so it starts out like this. There was a black woman trying to evade the rain while she waited for her Uber. So she took shelter from the rain underneath the roof of an apartment, and she was standing outside an autistic woman's door. Now, autism is a fairly broad neurological illness. Depending on where you are on the spectrum, you can have symptoms resembling schizophrenia, or you could just be socially inept. This woman, I would say, is on the higher end of the autistic spectrum because she is very visibly autistic. She has difficulty with speech. It baffles me how anyone couldn't pick up that she had something mentally going on. But nonetheless, this woman standing outside of the autistic woman's door bothered her immensely. Not because she's a mean-spirited individual, but because whenever you're autistic, you need to have a place to go. Especially if paranoia is part of your autism. So, from the autistic woman's perspective, this woman was blocking her path, causing her to have anxiety, etc., etc. And sadly, everything that follows just goes downhill from there. I'm gonna go ahead and play the clip real quick.
She's not recording me. You're standing on public property, ma'am. You know that, right? This is public. This is not public property. So you're sending an officer? Because now she's recording me. Union President, yeah, Fifth Avenue. She's recording me right now. I've asked her to leave and she's refusing. I'm not sure, no, but she's recording me. This is a female. About 180 pounds. I'm not sure. She's pretty old to be doing this, so like 50. Heavy set. I would consider that. Some jeans and a shirt. She won't leave. Black. I mean, she's standing right here, so when they get here, they'll see her. Blue jeans, some rips in it. Like she's 20. Absolutely do not know her, and that's why I want her off my private property. Torres. We're the owners of this building, so why? Probably from my cell phone. Why? Because she's recording me. I'm not saying my personal information. I'm sorry.
So this clip was posted on Facebook, and it was followed with comments like, she's clearly on drugs. Some people were sensible. I mean, some people said like, oh, you're recording into her home. That's pretty fucked up. Why didn't you just walk away into a different location, which would have been the best way to handle the situation, is to just walk away as she asked you to do. I know if somebody was standing in front of my door, I would likely do the same thing, autism or not. Or they could have just had a conversation. Like, hey, I'm in front of your door because it's raining outside. I'm seeking shelter from the liquid falling from the sky. I feel like any sort of conversation would have stopped this from happening. But instead, the woman takes out her phone and records and further antagonizes this woman. And that antagonization just continued and continued because guess what? This video went viral. And this poor autistic woman was placed on the guillotine. The media went bashing and bashing on her character. They found her social media. She had to leave it because it was bad for her mental health. The media was always going to her apartment, apparently, because they knew where she lived after this. And, you know, just why would this be such an issue to the media? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because they thought it was racially motivated. They thought that this poor autistic woman was being angry at the woman recording because she was black. That's how they twisted this whole thing. That's how this fake news got spread. It was an outrage culture that this woman simply was not prepared for and frankly didn't deserve. And, you probably know what I'm going to say. This is what outrage culture does. It gets you jumping to conclusions, it gets you thinking emotionally, and it gets you ruining lives. So, I know this isn't part of the video, you didn't see this, but this is how the interaction began. The autistic woman opened her door, said, "Hey ma'am, this is private property, could you please move?" Not, "Could you please leave?" "Could you please move?" I'm sure there were many other areas to be in that weren't in front of this individual's door that were safe from the rain. According to this woman, the other woman, who shortly after decided to take out her phone, just flat out refused, probably because she thought it was a race thing. Again, this is what happens whenever you think everything is about race. The autistic woman goes on, "After about 10 times of me saying, 'Ma'am, go, this is private property,' she still refused, so I called the cops. As a person with autism, I was scared. When someone is blocking me from leaving, it is a big problem, and I was alone in that situation." So, as I said earlier, this person really did have an issue with the other individual blocking her from leaving. That is not a surprise, that is very predictable behavior coming from individuals suffering from autism, at least whenever they're paranoid. The antagonizer, which is the one who posted the videos, said, "On Sunday afternoon, I was in Brooklyn walking to the train when a sudden rainstorm began and I hid in the doorway outside of a random apartment in Park Slope to shield myself from the rain and call an Uber. No more than 3 minutes later, a young woman who lives in the building opened the front door and told me that I could not stand there and had to leave. I told her I was not going to move. Unbeknownst to her, I was just waiting for my ride and would end up leaving in a couple minutes. So then she proceeded to call the police." So let me get this straight. I mean, this comes straight from the horse's mouth. She says, "I told her I was not going to move. Unbeknownst to her, I was just waiting for my ride and would be leaving in a couple minutes." Keywords, unbeknownst to her. She didn't explain herself one bit, and that probably would have just completely avoided the entire situation. If she just said, "Oh, I'm hiding from the rain, I'm waiting for my Uber, I'll be gone in like 5 minutes. She didn't say that though. Instead, she said, "I'm not gonna move." That's very assertive behavior. That's very call the cops worthy behavior to a woman like this. A simple conversation would have completely dialed this down. This would not be an issue. Instead, you made this woman's life a living hell, and you're a terrible person. And that's coming from me, okay? So after this interaction, after she blew up in the media and everybody was attacking her, she began to get extremely paranoid. She was already a relatively paranoid individual before this interaction, but she says that though she has autism, she is pretty good at communication. This has come through lots of work on her part over the years in therapy. Her phone call to the police is part of that open communication that she has learned over the years. So she really did think she was doing the good thing because she was trained to do stuff like that. She was trained to be assertive, and seeing that the woman who was in front of her door was assertive, this should have been predicted. A reporter at the New York Post found the story at Ebony Magazine, a black interest news site, so likely very racially charged stuff coming from there. According to this reporter, Ebony broke the story. She called Torres' cell phone saying that she wanted to hear the other side of the event. Torres, by the way, she's the autistic individual Torres, insisted that her 911 call had nothing to do with race, and that she herself was not white, and she wasn't even sure that Obregon was black. Obregon is the individual who recorded her. Torres told her, "I think you're exploiting this as a race issue when it's not." Even after revealing she has autism to the reporter, though, Torres was devastated to learn that the article still maintained that it was a black-white issue. It would seem that nothing Torres could say would stop the domino effect of the fake news. By the way, let me just say that the writer at the Daily Caller, from the article we're reading right now, Hannah Grossman, this is excellent journalism. We need more of this, and I hope you keep sticking to it. This is an excellent article. Apparently after this event, Torres was now known as Doorway Debbie by mainstream media, by everyone who watches the mainstream media, and she has made numerous attempts at suicide. She said, "I felt that nobody was going to do anything. No one was going to face any repercussions unless I were to kill myself," Torres said. "I tried to kill myself. I tried to cut myself. I just felt so done, and I felt this was never going to get better." Overall, this article written by Hannah Grossman is fantastic. I love it. It's very nice to see journalists still doing their thing in a good way, calling out other journalists. It's sad it's even come to that, to where we have to call out other journalists, but it's good to see that there's some good ones out there. Anyway, what can we learn from this situation? Well, as an individual, you should learn that maybe you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. The individual who may appear to you as a crazy person may just have mental illnesses. And another one would be, instead of escalating a situation and showing the worst of someone in front of millions upon millions of people, maybe you should talk to them. Because if there was just a little bit more communication between these two people, if the recorder simply said, hey, I'm waiting for an Uber, I'll be gone in a moment, you wouldn't have ruined someone's life, okay? It's as simple as that. You made a terrible decision, and it really hurt an autistic woman who was just doing what felt natural to her. The third lesson we should learn from this is don't trust the goddamn mainstream media. I don't know how many times I need to say it, but they're human too, okay? Not only will they make frequent mistakes as consistently as a human being would, but they also have agendas to push. Like, this would not have been inflated as much as it was if it weren't treated as a race issue. Because it wasn't. All in all, this whole situation's dumb as hell. There's only one victim, and she was portrayed as the bad guy. It's ridiculous. It really is. And you know what sucks whenever the mainstream media does something like this? There's no bit of media that can outweigh them and call them out on stupid shit like this. Like, this happened months ago, dude. We have to rely on journalists like Hannah here to call this shit out. People just need to be besides themselves sometimes and think about what they're doing, think about their situations. Because I could tell you right now, if I were in the situation of the woman who was avoiding the rain, I would have just said, hey, I'm waiting for my Uber. Is it okay if I just stay a little bit longer? And she said, no, please move. I still would have moved, you know? I still would have freaking gone somewhere else. I'm sure there was plenty of room over there. And another thing is, maybe it wasn't so smart to record inside of her house. Anyway, this whole situation, I hate it. I hate it, man. There's so much about this situation that I hate. It pisses me off. I don't like seeing innocent people be brought to suicidal thoughts, let alone mentally ill people or neurologically unfortunate people. It's ridiculous. It's proof that bullying doesn't stop after high school. While this may not be personal to us, it's definitely personal to the autistic woman, more so than it would be if you were in that position, because again, she has autism. Don't pretend you know everything about a person. Don't judge somebody by your first impressions. Because you know that's what happened here. She saw this woman, oh, this woman's crazy. Oh my god. She didn't even think that maybe she had autism. So dumb. People are so dumb. I already hated the mainstream media, but after knowing this, I hate it even more, okay? This is just depressing. This is just sad. This is so sad. Alexa, play Despacito. Anyway, that's all I really have to say about this situation. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this, be sure to subscribe, leave a like. I'm gonna peace the fuck out. See you later.